Welcome to this week's edition of Bob versus Willie. You guys already know the players, so I won't waste any more time. Let's get to the meat of it. Bob, who are we talking about today?
Samantha Fish.
All right, and we're talking about her top 10 songs. This is going to be top 10 songs up to now. She's in the middle of her career. I'm sure there's going to be, and I hope, and I feel confident, Bob, I think you'd agree, she's got enough chops in there that there will be songs added 10, 15 years from now. But right now, what are her top 10 songs? Bob, you want to lead or should I?
Well, I'll take off.
Sounds good.
My number 10 is Runaway. And Runaway is a title track from Samantha Fish's first studio album produced by Mike Zito. And the thing is, the song establishes her as a guitar player because it's heavy on the guitar.
Okay, my number 10 is Loud from her most recent album, Faster. I picked it a lot because I thought that it was interesting. She brought in someone from another genre, the rapper Tech-9. In the album in general, she's really sort of branching out into things that aren't just blues or her songwriting. I thought that was noteworthy. For number 9 off the Wild Heart album, I have Bitch on the Run. Bob, I think it's a great song. Let's be frank, the title itself, and when she gets up and play it, I think it's just indicative of who she is and sort of the heart and soul that she has to play in an arena that is mostly dominated by men. I give her a lot of credit for that.
Well, you made a really good choice because I have Bitch on the Run also. And for my number 9. And I agree with you for all those reasons. And for my number 8, I have Wild Heart. Of course, this is the title song from her 2015 album of the same name. And it's one of those that, again, is presenting her incendiary guitar playing, which just draws you. And if you want to listen to good guitar playing by a female musician, I mean, she's got it.
That sounds good. I can't complain with either of those. My number 8 is Sucker Born off Black Wind Holland. Sorry about that. This is sort of where I shift gears. When I think of Samantha Fish, I like some of her very gritty songs, her songs that are riff heavy. They don't try to be overly melodic. They don't have really wild solos, even though she has that ability. Number 7, American Dream. I'm switching up a little bit. That's off Belle of the West. And American Dream I like because it's got, whether it's a piccolo or a flute, it has less of the blues and it showcases her ability to write a really nice, clean song that's more in the rock or pop era. Bob?
Well, for my number 7 song, I have Love Letters, which is a bit out of character for her, but I wanted to show the milder side of her. And the song is somewhat of a sensual kind of song that she passionately sings and blends into her guitar playing. And for number 6, it's Jim Crow Blues, or Crow Jane Blues, and it's off the Chills and Fever album from 2017. And one of the things about that album, it's been recorded numerous times over the years, and she's not the original writer of it, but she's using her Stogie cigar box guitar on it as well, the 4-string, and it's an interesting sound and mix.
Okay, can't disagree with those. I like how you've sort of included her softer side. I don't know if I'd include her softer side in her top 10, but I guess I did myself a bit an American Dream. And my number 6 has some of that as well. Cowtown, also off the Belle of the West album. It's softer in that it's not as straightforward blues, but I think it's a great song. Number 5, Crow Jane. You already spoke about it. I have nothing but great things to say about that song. It's very gritty. It's very raw. Fits into her playing personality perfectly.
For number 5, I have You Got It Bad, and that's off 2019's Killer Be Kind album, and give you a more recent sound from her. And it's a very guitar-driven blues song. Number 4 is Dream Girl. And once again, this is one that slightly gets into her softer side, and it's off of Killer Be Kind and features her clear, lulling voice. And in it, I kind of, to classify her voice, you would say she's not a Janis Joplin, but she's more a Emmylou Harris.
Yeah, I would agree with that idea. She's definitely not a Janis, and she's also not quite as dulcet as Emmylou Harris. She's closer to that. She threads that, you know what? Okay, I'm already thinking different about that last choice here. We'll get back to that. But for now, number 4, I have Blood in the Water. Once again, Belle of the West, but I feel that it's a little bit more towards her blue side. Number 3, I'd like to speak about a bit. Bulletproof, Killer Be Kind. I won't talk about it too much other than that it's so distinct from so many of her other songs. It's got a very surprising tone to it. It's a little bit funky. It's got a different rhythm to it. I wouldn't even call it blues. I'm surprised that it wasn't a bigger pop hit when it happened. Bob, what do you have coming for me?
For number 3, I've one again that you've already had. You put it at number 4, and that's Blood in the Water.
Okay.
Off of her 2017 Belle of the West album. And that was her 5th studio album. And each album becomes more of a polished body of work. And number 2 is Go Home. And Go Home is from 2015's Wild Heart album. And it was produced by Luther Dickinson and kind of has a completely different style and is more of a country gospel dirge sort of a sound.
Okay, for my last 2, I'm going to step back in time a bit. And the reason why, before I go ahead and reveal these 2, is because I think there's something that's very important about looking at an artist's beginnings. And for her, she really has a raw, true sense to her music. When she began, she wasn't very polished. As you already mentioned, she came from a very raw sound. And so I didn't choose Runaway off the Runaway album, but for now, my number 2 off the Runaway album, I have Down in the Swamp. I think it's the song that directly follows Runaway. I like it. It's swampy. She is down in the swamp in that sound of hers. And for number 1, I have Miles to Go. And it's just got so much grit and grunge to it that I don't know if everyone's going to love that pick, but I just think it's a look at who she is and can still be when she's not being more polished. Bob, what do you have for your number 1?
For my number 1, I have Bulletproof. And again, off Killer Be Kind. And I love it because the reasons you said, it is so different, and the rhythm is just haunting. And I just imagined a World War I battle where they're having a trench battle and marching into machine gun fire with that song playing. You usually you'll hear bagpipes playing as the English are marching into it, but in this case you would be playing that song.
Okay, I when you first mentioned it, you had Dream Girl up pretty high on your list. And then you gave your explanation and it made more sense to me. It shows that different side of her vocals, getting away from all the guitar playing she does and is so good at. There are also her vocals, which are underappreciated. So I get it a bit more, but I don't love the pick. Bob, is there anything on my list that you're not a fan of?
Well, I really love Down in the Swamp. And actually, I wish I would have had that on my list. But I really... I wouldn't have put Miles to Go at the number 1 point. I would have put it up a little bit higher. And I did like your pick on Loud with where she combined a rapper, into her music to kind of do that thing where you mix genres up, and that was interesting.
Well, listeners, viewers, readers, whatever you want to call yourselves, now's the time to go ahead and put your input down in the comments. Do you think these are Samantha's top 10 songs, or do you think we missed a couple? I only had 1 song off of Faster. Bob didn't have any. Do you think we ignored that album too much? Do you think there's more there? Or are you a bit like me when you like some of her earlier stuff? Or do you like some of the stuff that's a little more pleasant on the ears and focuses on her singing? Go ahead and let us know. But for now, he's Bob Gersten. I'm Willie Witten. We'll catch you next time on Bob versus Willie.